I'm back, but only for a short while. Bye, fellas.
Cheers.
Saved by Love: How Tina Turner Dealt with Marriage Hell and Wearing Wigs. She was born plain Anna Mae Bullock in Tennessee, but when she strutted across the stage and started belting out the hits, she transformed into rock legend Tina Turner. The amazing singer became a pop pin-up, an inspiration to women the world over, and was respected by musical giants David Bowie and Mick Jagger. But she struggled to form relationships with men, lived in constant fear of rejection, because she wore a wig, and would go a full year without sincere love. She said, "Dating was often more trouble than it was worth. I've never been one of those women who has to get laid no matter what. There have been times when I've gone up to a year without it. To be honest, I'd always been a little nervous about starting a relationship with a new man, because I didn't know how my wig would be received. I always ran the risk of meeting a man who might object, a man who would have a problem becoming romantically involved with Tina, with her bountiful hair and glamorous trimmings, but waking up with unadorned Anna Mae. What if he was disappointed by the real me? I was always a bit nervous about taking that chance." Tina finally did find love with her second husband, Erwin Bach, and this week he and the showbiz world were left mourning her death, aged 83, after a long illness. In her astonishingly frank autobiography My Love Story, published 5 years before she died, Tina admitted she seduced German EMI record executive Erwin after he picked her up from Dusseldorf Airport in 1986. Tina, who remained and to her family and close friends, had only known him for a matter of weeks when she decided to tell him how she felt during a business dinner. She wrote, "I looked at him so handsome in his lacquered shirt, jeans and loafers without socks, and whispered, 'Erwin, when you come to America, I want you to make love to me.' He turned his head slowly and just looked at me, as if he couldn't believe his ears. I couldn't believe what I had said either. Later, he told me he had never heard that from a woman. His first thought was, 'Wow, those California girls are really wild.' But I wasn't wild. I'd never done anything remotely like that before. I didn't recognize myself." Erwin, now 67, then joined Tina and her friends for a dinner in Los Angeles. She said, "I invited everyone back to my house after dinner, and that's when our real romance began. The kissing began, and we kissed all the way to the bedroom. Erwin stayed with me that night. Until then, Tina had little experience with love. A high school romance ended in heartbreak when her boyfriend got another girl pregnant and married her. She had a brief teenage fling with saxophonist Raymond Hill, and gave birth to her first child, Craig. Then she fell for the charms of musician Ike Turner, who she married, and also adopted his 2 sons, Ike Jr. and Michael. They became an infamous duet, and she went on to have his 3rd son, Ronnie. But Ike was abusive and cruel. Tina lost track of the number of times he had been married, and claims he probably had 20 women on the go while they were together. She said, "All those wives were in addition to the countless girlfriends who came and went with dizzying speed. Ike slept with or tried to sleep with every woman in our orbit. Married, single, and everything in between. He seduced every woman in our circle. That's what he did. In his mind, sex was power. When a woman became his conquest, he believed he owned her. He even forced her to change her name from Anna to Tina. That was really awful. I hated him at that moment," she said. "The very last thing I wanted to do was make love, if you could call it that." Tina Turner was born that night, and little Ann disappeared forever. Finally, she left him with just 36 cents to her name, and they divorced. And because she was so well known by then, she fought to keep the name Tina. She wrote, "I told the judge, forget the jewelry, forget everything. It's only blood money. I want nothing. Although I did have one request. I wanted to continue using Tina Turner, which I owned because of the trademark he had obtained when we first started performing." Bowie and Jagger then took the new solo star under their wing. Tina said, "They saw something they liked, a woman who could stand up to them vocally, collaborate on stage in a rock and roll way, and make it all look great fun." She and her backing singers even taught Jagger how to dance. She wrote, "We'd seen him strutting with his tambourine on stage, and he was a little awkward back then. We thought it was kind of cute that he admired our dancing. So we pulled him into our group and taught him how to do the pony. When we watched him doing a little bit of it during his next show, we thought, well, that's good. Not that he ever gave me and the girls credit for his fancy new footwork. To this day, Mick likes to say, 'My mother taught me how to dance.' And I say, okay, that's fine. But I know better." During Live Aid in America in 1985, Mick famously ripped Tina's skirt off on stage. She said, "Mick is just naughty. He's like every bad boy you've ever known at school." But the true good boy in her life was Erwin. In 2013, after 27 years together, They married on the banks of Lake Zurich in Switzerland, where they lived. Tragically though, she suffered a stroke just 3 months after that fairy tale wedding. She was then diagnosed with intestinal cancer and kidney failure. Tina ditched medication to control her blood pressure in favor of homeopathic remedies, unwittingly causing further damage to her kidneys as a result. She said, "I didn't understand that unmanaged high blood pressure could accelerate my kidney damage. I would have lived differently if I had known. The consequences of my ignorance ended up being a matter of life and death." With her kidneys operating at just 5% and her prognosis bleak, she signed up to Exit, an assisted dying clinic in Switzerland. Then Irwin matched as a donor and gave her one of his kidneys. She said, "I could hardly believe it. I was overwhelmed by the enormity of his offer." But while fighting for life in 2018, his eldest son, Craig, 59, died. Last year she also lost son Ronnie, 62, after complications from colon cancer. As Tina reflected on her life, she said, "Good came out of bad, joy came out of pain. I lived through a hellish marriage that almost destroyed me, but I went on. I found happiness with Irwin, but I almost lost everything. Until love saved me." Tina Turner's husband Irwin Bach, the man who loved her right. Sad news came Wednesday, May 24th. That the legendary singer Tina Turner passed away peacefully at her home at 83 after battling a long illness. In the wake of her passing, the world has been eager to learn more about the singer's life. Tina's life was full of achievements, abuse, survival, and rebirth. Her tumultuous relationship with Ike Turner was well documented, and she was very open about the trauma. But her love story did not end tragically. The Better Be Good to Me singer found love again with Irwin Bach, who stood by her side and looked at her with a loving smile. Learn more about the German music executive producer and their love story below. Bach was born on January 24, 1956, in Cologne, Germany. He worked for EMI Records in Germany in the 1980s, where he played a role in the promotion and distribution of music. His success in the industry helped him rise through the ranks to become a high-ranking executive. Bach and Turner began their relationship in the 1985. He was working for EMI at the time, and Turner was already a global superstar. They were introduced by her manager, who suggested he pick her up from the airport. Tina gushed in her documentary that the connection was instant. "The day I first met Irwin, at an airport in Germany, I should have been too tired from my flight, too preoccupied with thoughts of my concert tour. But I did notice him, and I instantly felt an emotional connection," she said, per Daily Mail. Tina gushed in her HBO documentary that the connection was instant. "The day I first met Irwin, at an airport in Germany, I should have been too tired from my flight, too preoccupied with thoughts of my concert tour. But I did notice him, and I instantly felt an emotional connection," she said. She went on to describe it as love at first sight. "My hands were ice cold. So this is what they call love at first sight. I thought, oh my God, I am not ready for this." The couple officially tied the knot in a private ceremony in July 2013. After being together for over 25 years. Turner was 73 at the time, and he was 57. They said "I do" in a civil ceremony in front of family friends at their home in Lake Zurich, in Switzerland. They were in the presence of friends and celebrity guests, including Oprah and Bryan Adams, per Italy magazine. The executive was 30 when he met the singer, who was 47. As noted by Daily Mail, people believed that he was just after her money. Incredibly, considering how long we had been together, there were still people who wanted to believe that Irwin married me for my money, and famed Turner wrote in her memoir My Love Story. Irwin always ignored the rumors. In an interview with Oprah, Bach revealed that he had asked Turner to marry him twice before when she turned 50. "I was committed and I wanted to show this, so I went down on my knee. I never did that before in my life. I was never married before." Turner had a stroke 3 weeks after their wedding. She was diagnosed with intestinal cancer 3 years later in 2016. She had total kidney failure after turning to homeopathic remedies, per Daily Mail. "I think that's when the idea of my death became a reality for Irwin. He was very emotional about not wanting to lose me, not wanting me to leave," she wrote in her memoir. Her husband donated his own kidney to save her life. "The best moment was when Irwin came rolling into my room in his wheelchair," she wrote in her memoir. "He somehow managed to look good, even handsome, as he greeted me with an energetic, 'Hi, darling.' I was so emotional, happy, overwhelmed and relieved that we'd come through this alive."